This morning I heard the quote, "The capacity to learn is a gift, the ability to learn is a skill, and the willingness to learn is a choice." Today I want to talk about the choice of being willing to learn. Hello, my name is Sarah and welcome back to Sarah Refined. On this channel we talk about self-development and learning how to live life with intention. One thing that we don't give enough credit to is intentional learning. I think we are always learning, whether it is learning how somebody else reacted to us, or learning how to monitor our own feelings, or how to cook something if you're following a new recipe. There are endless ways that we are learning every single day. But intentional learning is different, because that means we are making a choice. Now, I don't know if this is relatable to everybody, but one of the negative side effects that I've noticed for myself was judgment. This is more in the past because this is something I am very proud to say that I've gotten over to the most point. I do catch myself now and then for judging others, but it is far significantly less than it ever was when I was a teenager. And on top of that, I also realize what I am doing and I change my thought process. And that's part of learning as well. The reason that was becoming an issue for me was not that I was judging others in a sense of thinking I'm better than you, but rather I was looking at them going, you could be making better choices, or you should really look for this help because you would be a better person for it. And that might not necessarily be negative in all aspects, but it certainly wasn't needed. And one of the things I've learned is simply to not give unsolicited advice. Earlier I was watching a video on the importance of learning, and one thing that was mentioned was that criticizing is what becomes judgmental, whereas observing is what becomes educational. Think of children. They learn everything just by observing the world around them. And I guess we are right into the video because that is the very first thing I was going to discuss, is how observing is the best education we can get to start with. Especially, as I mentioned previously, with intentional observing. You are making the intention to learn and to watch and to grow. The next reason we should always be intentionally learning is that by learning something new for ourselves, we are putting our focus onto something, and therefore we are not able to worry as much about other people and their problems. Now, obviously we need to have empathy. The world would be a very horrible place if we did not have empathy, but there is a time and a place for it. For myself, in 2020, I had to really learn how to accept the phrase, I care, but I do not carry, because I am an empath, and watching the news will make me cry and have nightmares, and hearing a friend go through a bad time, I feel like I'm going through the bad time. And that was very unhealthy for plenty of obvious reasons. And it was also not very beneficial for my relationships or my friendships or my personal health. So by getting myself into a new hobby, which last year was mostly YouTube, I was spending so much more time focusing on editing and learning different things about my computer. And I'm not a very tech savvy person, or so I tell myself. By learning more and more about these different hobbies of myself, I was able to be a better friend because I was caring for people in my life and I was caring about what was going on in the world, but I was not carrying it. Does that make sense? I hope so. Moving on to the next reason of why we should always be learning. Who you are in 1, 3, 5 years from now depends greatly on what you are learning today. If you are simply running through life on habits that you've never really intentionally built, or if you have not picked up a book or listened to a podcast or learned something new in the last year, your brain is going to be pretty much the same as it was a year ago. As I say at the end of these videos, when you improve yourself, you improve the world. But you can't improve the world if you aren't improving your mind first. This kind of ties into the next point that I'm going to make, but you never know when the skills that you learn today are going to come in handy. Take CPR, for example. A lot of us have our basic first aid and we have our basic CPR. We expect that we're never going to have to use them, but there is always that one time that somebody does need to use it. And there's always some random Joe off the street who goes out and saves a life because they just happen to have that information and that knowledge because they learned it in the past. I think I heard a story once of a kid who had his CPR training and the very next day had to put it to use. That, I think, is kind of a fluke. For a lot of us, we learn how to do the chest compressions, and then 25 years down the road, you've got a child that's choking or somebody who needs tie a tourniquet on them or something. You know what I'm saying. The things you learn today will change who you are in 1 to 5 to 10 years from now. And you never know when that knowledge is going to benefit you or others. My last point in this video for why we should always be learning is because we can only teach that what we know. When we learn how to become a better communicator, a better chef, a better editor, anything like that, whatever it is that you're learning, you become a better friend, you become a better coworker, partner, parent. It becomes who you are and it changes you, so then it's going to start changing everyone around you. Always keep learning, and it doesn't matter what you're learning unless it's illegal. Don't do that. Don't learn illegal things. But if you're trying to learn something new that's going to benefit you, don't think it's selfish. Learning is one of the most selfless things that we can do. There once They once did a study that showed the people who were educated and the ones that valued education and learning really pushed it for their own children, which in turn created a whole new generation of people who were educated and valued education and learning. So then they push it to their children, compared to other people who might just think, we get through life and that's about it. You learn what you need in school, you learn this, but you don't intentionally learn. Those people didn't value it as much and their kids didn't either. So I hope I've made a convincing case for why it is important to always keep learning. And I hope that this was informational for you and that you enjoyed watching. If you did, please give it a thumbs up as it does help my videos and my channels. And remember, when you improve yourself, you improve the world. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!